She fouled out, had 6, and it was a ticky-tack fouls. And again, Caitlin Clark doing a little bit of an acting job. Not sure if that was actually a foul, but again, that's for the ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier.
The WNBA just delivered shocking news that has Brittney Griner on edge. After years of rumors and speculation, the league officially revealed mandatory gender testing for all athletes. The announcement couldn't have come at a worse time for Griner, who is already under heavy criticism for her controversial remarks about Caitlin Clark. This decision could change everything. Do you believe the WNBA's new gender testing rule is overdue, or just another ploy to stir drama in women's basketball?
Brittney Griner is, in fact, a man. One of the videos that give us cause to say that is this video. It is from her Instagram stories from years and years ago. And when it comes to Instagram, they use a combination of like AI detection and plus manual surveyors to make sure that no explicit content ends up on the platform. So clearly whatever AI detection system was used when Brittney posted this and it stayed up for 106 weeks was not like, oh, this is a female chest, we have to take this down. Oftentimes, if breast cancer runs in a family, women will preemptively get like double mastectomies. And there's some great surgeons out there, don't get me wrong, but I don't see any scars on Brittney's chest that would be indicative of a double mastectomy or top surgery for gender transition.
It seems the moment of reckoning has finally arrived for Brittney Griner. Just when she thought the fallout from that viral video where she insulted Caitlin Clark was beginning to fade, the WNBA dropped a massive reality check: mandatory gender testing for every player. Depending on your viewpoint, the timing of this announcement is either perfect or disastrous. The league attempted to present it as a standard policy change, but hardly anyone is convinced. This situation has Griner written all over it, and she knows it. For years, there have been rumors, speculation, and direct questions about whether some WNBA players are actually biologically female. The league has avoided the subject like it was untouchable, but it seems they can't sidestep it any longer. The official statement from the WNBA was as vague as expected, emphasizing competitive balance and fairness for all athletes. But the real message is obvious. The league is finally admitting what critics have been pointing out for years. Still, questions remain, and not everything lines up when it comes to certain individuals.
About to get into that is really hard and really scary. You're about to be a mom. How is that feeling? Pops. Oh, let me get it together. About to be a pops. Please tell me how exciting that is for you and what you're looking forward to most.
I'm super excited. Well, I mean, I guess I'll just drop it. He's here. So he's here. Yes. 7/8/24.
Brittney Griner has been at the center of these conversations since her entry into the league. Her physical build, voice, and overall appearance have sparked questions the mainstream sports press has largely avoided. But with the WNBA now enforcing mandatory testing, those questions may finally receive some definitive answers. Reports indicate the policy requires every athlete to undergo full hormonal and chromosomal evaluations before each season begins. This isn't just a standard drug screen. It involves in-depth biological assessments that will determine once and for all if players meet the league's requirements for women's competition. Independent medical specialists will review the results, and any individual failing to meet the standards will be barred from participation. Predictably, critics in the media are already labeling the policy discriminatory, invasive, and transphobic. Yet at its core, women's sports are designed for women. That's not controversial. It's simply biological truth. If someone cannot verify they are biologically female, competing against women who are is unfair. The timing of this move is especially damaging for Griner, who is still under fire from that viral video where she appeared to insult Caitlin Clark with a racial slur. That moment revealed Griner's real feelings and her resentment toward the player credited with revitalizing the WNBA. Now, her entire career might be placed under scrutiny.
I saw this and was like, a lady mistake.
Let's be clear about what we're looking at here. Brittney Griner stands 6 feet 9 inches tall, speaks with a voice deeper than Barry White's, and displays physical traits that align far more closely with male biology than female. These aren't insults. They're obvious realities that have been overlooked for far too long. Years ago, an Instagram video surfaced of Griner appearing shirtless, which only fueled more speculation. What made it even more controversial was that Instagram's own AI detection system didn't classify the clip as violating female nudity guidelines. That means the platform's algorithm failed to recognize her as biologically female. And if artificial intelligence systems struggle to determine your gender, then maybe it's time people start asking serious questions as well. Perhaps the strongest argument comes from Brittney Griner's performance compared to other WNBA athletes. The physical advantages are impossible to overlook: greater wingspan, superior strength, and athleticism far beyond what is normally expected from a biological female. These traits have translated into professional dominance that might not have been achievable had Griner competed against biological males instead. Speculation surrounding her background has now reached a point where it can no longer be dismissed. Some argue that Griner could be intersex, a condition that would still provide substantial biological benefits over typical female opponents. Others suspect there may be ongoing hormone treatments at play, potentially granting Griner an additional and unfair edge over competition in the women's league. The mandatory testing is finally expected to deliver answers to these long-standing questions. What complicates the matter further is Brittney Griner's personal life and public relationships. The way Griner presents herself socially and romantically has often appeared more in line with traditionally male behavior patterns than female ones. This discussion is not about sexual orientation. Many biological women identify as gay. Rather, it concerns biological and behavioral traits that don't align with typical female development. The WNBA's decision to enforce mandatory testing likely wasn't taken lightly. The league is under growing pressure from fans, athletes, and sponsors demanding confidence that competition remains fair. Already struggling with credibility challenges, the organization can no longer overlook concerns about eligibility. Implementing this policy represents an attempt to restore integrity, but it also places a harsh spotlight on players whose identities are being questioned. This policy arrives at a time when women's sports are experiencing remarkable growth, largely driven by genuine female stars like Caitlin Clark. Clark's rise has attracted millions of new fans to women's basketball, and those fans expect to see authentic female competition. If questions about player eligibility compromise that authenticity, it could unravel everything Clark has worked to build. Watching how this testing policy unfolds will be fascinating. Athletes with nothing to conceal should embrace the chance to silence critics and confirm their eligibility. However, players who fear what the results might reveal are likely to challenge the policy through legal avenues and media narratives. In fact, early signs of legal resistance are already beginning to surface, suggesting this battle will extend far beyond the basketball court. Several advocacy groups are threatening lawsuits, arguing that the new testing violates privacy rights and discriminates against certain communities. Yet these claims collapse when you remember that women's sports exist to guarantee fair competition exclusively for biological females. If an athlete cannot verify that basic standard, they should not be competing in the league. The media's coverage of this issue has been predictably slanted. Major sports outlets emphasize controversy and discrimination while ignoring the central issue of competitive fairness. They appear more interested in protecting preferred narratives than upholding integrity in women's athletics. But fans aren't buying into the media spin. Social platforms are erupting with support for the testing policy, with countless voices stressing its necessity. Many commenters are even naming Brittney Griner directly, insisting she must undergo thorough investigation to ensure the legitimacy of her participation. The public has been ahead of the organizations on this matter for years, and only now is the WNBA beginning to catch up. The global impact of this new policy is equally noteworthy. Women's sports leagues across different countries are observing closely how the WNBA addresses this challenge. Should the policy succeed in preserving competitive balance, it may serve as a model for other associations facing similar debates. The Olympics and other worldwide competitions have long struggled with gender eligibility concerns. The WNBA stance could establish a framework for managing such cases that ensures protection for female athletes while upholding fairness and openness. For Brittney Griner in particular, this policy poses a direct threat to her career and reputation. If testing shows she fails to meet the biological standards for female participation, all she has achieved in the WNBA could potentially be disputed. Titles, milestones, and achievements may all be reassessed in retrospect. The mental strain on Brittney Griner must be overwhelming. She's already under fire for her remarks about Caitlin Clark, and now she's confronted with the possibility that her entire career could be questioned. This immense stress might help explain some of her recent outbursts and polarizing statements. Other WNBA athletes are undoubtedly monitoring the situation closely as well. Nearly all of them are biological women who have dedicated their lives to excelling at the highest level. If opponents have been competing with biological advantages, those women are entitled to clarity and accountability. The financial stakes tied to this policy are enormous. Should testing reveal that certain prominent athletes fail to meet eligibility criteria, the league could encounter lawsuits, sponsor exits, and backlash from fans. Still, the long-term value of protecting competitive integrity likely outweighs these immediate dangers. The decision also makes a bold statement about the WNBA's true priorities. After years of criticism for elevating politics above athletics, the league is now choosing to defend competitive fairness. This shift could rebuild credibility and trust with supporters who felt pushed away by past moves. The timeline for rolling out testing will be critical. If action comes too quickly, lawsuits could stall or even block the effort. If action comes too slowly, detractors might argue that certain athletes were given time to adjust or resist. The independent medical review will be especially significant. The league must guarantee that testing is carried out by trusted experts who cannot be accused of favoritism or bias. The trustworthiness of the findings will hinge entirely on how credible the testing process proves to be. For women's basketball supporters, this rule signals a long overdue commitment to protecting fair play. The game features remarkable athletes who deserve the chance to compete evenly without doubts about biological advantages tilting outcomes, damaging the sport's integrity. The example set here could carry major influence. Should the WNBA enforce gender testing effectively, other organizations might adopt similar standards. This could spark broader shifts in how female athletics address eligibility rules across every competitive tier. The scientific side of the testing also promises intrigue. Advancements in modern medicine now reveal exceptionally precise insights into biological sex, hormone balance, and genetic structure. The outcome should eliminate any possibility of speculation or disputes concerning player eligibility. The media storm surrounding this policy is bound to be fierce. Supporters and critics alike will attempt to shape the discussion in ways that strengthen their agendas. However, the facts uncovered through testing will ultimately outweigh any narratives or campaigns. For Brittney Griner, this could mark the defining moment many have anticipated. Years of rumors, uncertainty, and heated debates might finally be settled through unbiased scientific evaluation. The findings will either validate her position or uncover concerns that may have long remained unseen. By adopting this policy, the WNBA demonstrates that even forward-thinking leagues must eventually confront biological truth. You can dismiss science and evidence temporarily, but eventually preserving fairness outweighs clinging to political correctness. This moment clearly highlights the wider cultural conflicts over gender, athletics, and equality unfolding throughout society. The WNBA represents only one battleground in the broader struggle over whether biological truth holds weight in competitive sports. The results of this new policy will reach far beyond women's basketball. It may shape how schools, sports leagues, and athletic bodies approach similar disputes in the future. The WNBA's compulsory gender testing places Brittney Griner directly in the spotlight, with findings that could redefine what people believe about women's basketball. This is the accountability turning point years in the making. What are your expectations for these results? Share your predictions below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more explosive sports updates.